6:30? All right, let's try this again. All right, I called the meeting to order. First item is to approve the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, seconded. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion passes. All right. Next item is to approve the minutes from October 21st, 2021. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Thank you, Krista. Second?
I'll second it.
All right. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, let's move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, none. Motion carries. New business. All right. New steps concept plan review.
Thank you, Chair, members of the Commission. Tonight, we are going to review the concept plan for next steps, and then I have a couple of just year-end updates. So closing out 2021, see everything that we accomplished and some projects that I think we'll start looking forward to in 2022. So first on the agenda is the next steps concept plan review. So you might be asking, how does this compare to residential platting, which is what we do typically together? It is a really similar process in that it's preliminary plat, rezoning, and final plat. It's typical for a property that is developing like this one, where Quick Trip, we had to essentially create lot lines. That's what platting does, is that it creates those lot lines. So this project requires that same process. So preliminary plat, rezoning, final plat. The rezoning, the property is currently zoned freeway commercial, which is correct for this project, but it's anticipated to require a planned commercial district overlay. So what that means, it's similar to the PRD, or the planned residential development overlay, that we do for most residential projects. And I'll get into the variance that they're looking for from the freeway commercial district in some detail. Generally, commercial platting processes move a lot faster. So if you think about preliminary plat for single family, you can see a concept and then not see preliminary plat for several months just because staff is working through it. But since this site, one building, it's pretty straightforward. So I anticipate that the next time you see this project, which might be in a month or two, we might go through preliminary plat, rezoning, final plat, all in one swoop to get them started on the project. Something to note, park dedication is still required. The thing that we require for residential, it's a different formula, so it's based on acreage instead of a per unit basis for residential units. So where we're talking tonight, it's the corner of Jonathan Carver Parkway, Highway 212. Quick Trip is the first anchor on that site, directly adjacent to the Meridian Fields project, north of Carver Elementary. And the site plan. I have an overlay that will show you where the site is on the actual property, because I know that gets a little bit tricky with these site plans. But the site plan considers a single-story daycare facility, roughly 16,000 square feet, with 4 outdoor play spaces. I'll talk through the setbacks as well. The project also lays out a full parking lot and then holds an outlot directly east. So you'll see on the screen here, it creates a future outlet. So it essentially creates 2 lots. This lot would be left open to develop in the future. So we're just considering the construction of next steps tonight, just the concept plan. So for some context, I overlaid the site plan onto the GIS information that we have. So Quick Trip is here. 2 ponds out front. This is a large pond directly adjacent to Meridian Fields, and then next steps falls here. So directly adjacent to Meridian Fields. Something to note about this project is a little bit different. The streets within this property are private. So similar to a residential HOA, it's like a commercial HOA, where the city is not responsible for street maintenance in this area. We do have a drainage and utility easement over the utilities, so if something were to happen, those are our responsibility, but things like snow plowing falls to the commercial HOA. So again, just location for the property here. A rough look at what that looks like with the Quick Trip superimposed. So generally, it's northwest of the Quick Trip property. And then just to note, these are directly backyards of Meridian Field. So there's a pretty significant swale here with some landscaping, but it will be directly adjacent. Some of the photos that were submitted with the concept plan application. So you'll see that the parking lot is there with the project set a little bit further back. I have views for what it would look like for Meridian Field neighbors, just because I think they'll be the people thinking about it the most.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah.
Because I have a question about the about the building.
Mm-hmm.
It says it's single story, but I see that so is it like vaulted ceilings or is there storage up, on that second level?
It's a gym.
Oh, it's
So
a gym.
So it's a higher section.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
There is a small mechanical on the back side. You can see a door on the far back
Yeah,
of the building. That's just to give roof access. So there's a small room back there for that.
okay, and then the gray building with the next steps?
That's just that's just little
Just,
character.
okay, gotcha. Okay, thanks.
So a couple of renderings of the rear. So this is the view that Meridian Fields will have. I would say this to you. I would say this to a Meridian Fields property owner. If I live next to a commercial property, the daycare is probably the one that I want to live next to. They have very, I think, favorable hours. Generally are a good neighbor comparatively to what you could get for a commercial user. So I think a really good selection of site for this project as well. So again, just site location. We'll talk a little bit through setbacks. So that's where that variation is going to come in with the planned commercial district request. So this is information directly from our city code. The city code calls for 46 parking spaces. They're proposing 46. Check, green light. Lot size is required to be 1 acre. They're proposing 1.64. Again, works out. The front setback I'm saying is not applicable because the front setback is to a public street, where again, this property does not have public streets, and also the parking lot is there too, so it wouldn't be technically a setback. Side yard setback is 20, they're meeting that as well. Rear is also 20. There's a little information in our code that from a residential property, a commercial building needs to be 100 feet from that. They're requesting a slight variance of 11 feet down to 89. So I struggle with distances always in my head. So today I Googled what is 100 feet, and it's 3 school buses. So line up 3 school buses together, and that's the distance they'd be required to be from Meridian Fields. For the site, again, they're just requesting that 11-foot variance from the rear to Meridian Fields.
Is it along the whole rear property line or just?
It's not.
Okay,
It's just, I'm assuming it's just the corner, right?
Yep.
okay.
And I'm assuming the people in Meridian Fields were notified about this meeting? Or
Not of a concept, they will be for preliminary plat and rezoning.
Okay.
And then we'll get a page on our website too. So I think that it's this corner here, Jeremy, you can tell me if I'm wrong.
I think
Is
it's
it
the
the north
bottom
corner?
corner.
All right, this one down here. So a little bit of information too. It spans a pond, so I think there's a good delineation between the
Oh,
building
yeah.
and the residential lots. So again, this is the rear that they would be looking at from those residential lots. We've talked a little bit with the applicant about screening potentially, so adding some trees back there. If it ever were to become an issue, which I don't think it would, maybe increasing the fencing, so having more of a privacy fence on the backside just to limit some noise and views of those residential lots. So, Jeremy, do you want to come up and introduce yourself?
Sure.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm Jeremy Spouty. So a little history on us. So Next Steps Learning Center is a company that me and my wife started 10, 12 years ago. And the first ones were in Chaska and Chanhassen, or some of you are familiar with the buildings, but we sold it to some friends of ours maybe 6 years ago. And so we currently were running Little Explorers, which is in Waconia. We have them up the west side. And so our friends asked us, hey, can you help us with doing a building? Because they're not really familiar. So that's why we stepped in and said, yep, we can help you guys do this. So this exact building is one we're putting in Prior Lake right now. We also have the exact building in Otsego. So on our website, you can actually see this exact building. We changed it a little bit. We went with more of a lapse, like a siding on this one. It just softens the building, especially next to a residential versus a commercial block and stone. So it's a much nicer look. So yeah, it's a very nice building. We've tested it a few times, so it works out really well. It's going to be good for the community in the sense of a lot of the kids that live in Chanhassen or that go to the centers in Chaska or Chan live in Carver. There's just not a lot of options out here, so it should be really good.
Yeah,
Can
I'm
you-
looking forward to having another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit
Facility.
about like ages served and then hours of operation?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So the ages in this is typically 0 to school age. We usually offer school age up until the preschoolers kind of fill in, and then at that point it just becomes 0 to preschool. The hours is Monday through Friday, 6:30 to 6. Yeah, everything's closed up. There's nothing on the weekends. So like Aaron was saying, it's a very quiet neighbor. Generally by 5:30, everybody's back inside getting picked up by parents. So most neighbors won't even know we're there.
What's the capacity for?
That'll be
Children.
189. So we generally have a lot of space in there. We have a big gym in there. We
Yeah,
have
because it was, what, 16,000 square feet?
16,000. So we have commercial kitchens in there, so we make all the food on site. And we have, there's just a lot of space in there for the kids.
Yep.
I don't know, Aaron, did you bring is there a layout of the facility in there?
I don't know if I
The
have the
interior?
layout.
Okay, that'll be obviously at the next
Yeah.
one, but. Yeah, so there's 12 classrooms, so there'll be a room for 120 preschool kids, 40, roughly 40 toddlers, and then 24 babies.
Wow.
Very cool.
So tonight's your opportunity to ask questions, provide some feedback, do some tweaking before we come in for preliminary rezoning and final plat. So if you have thoughts, comments, questions, now's the time to get them out there.
Sure, anyone? I have some.
I'll ask
Go
one.
ahead.
Now, with current events, where's your shelter area? Do you have a basement or is? there
So
shelter
that's
area?
from a tornado perspective.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so we generally the interior hallways is the spot that we all go, especially on a single story. Yeah, we don't typically go to any underground spaces.
There's not gonna be any underground space here, is there?
No. And so I guess the one thing I can reference as well is on that setback, that 87 feet or 89, we'll have leftover dirt from this site. And so what we'll likely do is create a mound system on the back corner where that hits, and then we'll put some evergreens that'll shield that group as well. But Aaron's right, it is a pretty good buffer with the wetlands that's right behind us.
Yeah, I guess my my question was about is it like parking lot lighting, and what kind of lighting do you foresee having in the off hours? Just again, because it's kind of close to a residential.
Yeah, so we'll do a candle study to make
Okay.
sure that the light doesn't go past there. But the two middle islands there is typically where we'll light, and we just do a standard LED lighting.
Okay.
That'll turn on at nighttime, and then it'll go off a couple
Right,
hours
and that'll
later.
be on the far side of the building, right, the residence soda. Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be 200, north of 200 feet from those
Excellent.
houses.
Yeah, and then if this is the building rendering, that looks really great. So,
Mhm.
like I said, it seems like it fit well in the residential aesthetic, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any concerns personally with 10 feet or 11 feet of
No, especially since it
Yeah.
backs up to a pond.
a pond.
I mean,
So, and like you said, with decent landscaping and some buffering, I think that seems like a reasonable request. So again, we'll have to talk to the residents and give
Yeah.
them that
Is
opportunity.
that hill on the northeast corner, is that gonna get leveled?
It'll be leveled out. Yep, we'll push that down. Yeah, because it actually runs into the northeast corner of our building. If you look at that overlay,
Hmm.
so we're gonna have to just push that out of the way anyways. You can kind of see part of it there.
Oh, I see.
So we won't completely level it, but while they're out there, they'll definitely clip the top and try to level it off a little bit.
And then, so Aaron, you said that the street off Monroe, that's part of the commercial property, so then that would be maintained by United Properties or whoever owns the.
Correct. So
Okay.
when United Properties continues to own property here, they'll be a player in that game.
Okay.
Once it becomes fully developed, it will be the commercial users in there that will
Okay.
have the agreement between them.
Sure.
And there's utilities and everything in place. Is the road built out that far?
It is. So it's built here. So essentially, quick trip, you can get fully around the building, so the extension will come here. And then we're working through, we have approval from the county for the right in, right out of Jonathan Carver Parkway. I think the timing will likely be a discussion with United Properties when they're looking for construction of that.
Will you have a need for school buses to come in and out? The standard bus or?
Yeah, so there will. So typically what we do is, from a turnaround perspective in our parking lots, is leave room for the biggest fire trucks that are there. So generally, school buses don't have any problems coming in.
Okay.
So they can make that radius. That's how we kind
To
of
make
plan
the
it.
turn?
Yep.
Okay.
Excellent. Krista, Greg, do you guys have anything else?
No, I think my initial
Yeah.
comments are just great looking building. I might be a little biased, but my son is actually a Next Steps alum
Yeah.
out of Chaska. So
I recognize the last name.
exactly. So it's been many years, but I know that there was a lot of talks years ago of you guys. I know you went a little bit more into the Chaska area, but definitely looking for another additional building in the area. So I think this plot of land here is a great location. Growing area. Glad to see that you guys are able to get the additional space and buildings that you're looking for. So, no, I was initially, when I first saw this, excited for you guys, just because, know next steps and what you guys do, and a great facility and everything, so.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, childcare is definitely a need for the community, so
I would say so.
I don't know if Aaron had any help with this, but the city, okay. Fortuitous, yeah, no, very, very good, yeah.
I have a question about when, once approved, when did you think you'd be opening?
November, December next year.
Great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why we'll move pretty quick.
Good.
So we'll try to go in the ground right in April, and then 7 months of build.
Oh,
And that's not
fantastic.
dissimilar. Commercial projects usually move that fast, so that shouldn't make anyone feel uneasy at this point.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so the project concept plan will go to City Council January 3rd, and then I anticipate it being back before you probably February, if I have a good idea. So we'll be back soon with this project.
Excellent. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks for sharing this with us.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's great.
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks. We get to chase the Minnetonka. My nephew's playing a hockey game.
Oh, gosh.
Fun. All right. Aaron, you had some year-end?
I do.
Go ahead.
So I wanted to give just an update as 2021 comes to a close. This is obviously our last meeting of the year, just some projects that we've worked on collectively and just some other things that are happening in the city. So at the most recent city council meeting, the city council approved going out for plans and specifications for Ironwood Park. So this project came in with Timber Creek. So Ironwood Park is expanding from Carver Elementary with the 2 fields. There's an area here with an updated skate park, basketball court, picnic shelter, and then an outdoor classroom adjacent to Carver Elementary. A couple of things that this park offers that are, I think, a little bit unique and new to Carver. The skate park, we know that the skate park in Carver is heavily used, so we were looking to have more of a destination skate park. So this is a concrete kind of in-ground skate park, so we think it'll be a destination for all ages to come and use a new, updated, exciting skate park. We're going to keep the existing one until it essentially falls apart. The company that originally built it is no longer in existence. That's how old it is. But we know that it's heavily used, so we're hoping that people can use both for the time being. And then the picnic shelter has a couple of unique features. There are permanent outdoor games that are part of the project. So there'll be a concrete ping pong table and then cornhole bags that will stay there permanently. So if you rent the shelter, you'll be able to use cornhole is here and then ping pong is here. You'll be able to access some equipment from us that you can play some games. And then we focused quite a bit on some passive spaces in this park. So there's some casual seating here and permanent Adirondack chairs on some crushed gravel, and then casual natural seating throughout the rest of the park. So hoping to have some spaces that can be used for a large age variety for the community. So that's Ironwood Park. We're anticipating construction to start on this project spring 2022.
And those are all new paths around also.
Some of them are existing, like this one here is there, but yes, there are many more paths to be added to this park, which is exciting, I think. Also a really big benefit, having townhome users as the neighbor to have what I hope will become a little bit of a community space for them with a picnic shelter, since there isn't like a community room that they have in their townhomes if they wanted to host a larger gathering.
And is that a rental, like the picnic shelter through the city?
It is. Yep.
Okay, can we go back for a second?
Yeah.
I'm just curious if there was ever any discussion about when the placement of the skate park was decided back there, that it'd be pretty far from public view of like the street or, let's see, when we did our first skate park, that was kind of a big deal to us, that people be able to see it. You monitor it a little bit.
The skate park moved probably 4 times in this park.
Okay.
So yes, this park will also be lit, so we're hoping
Oh, okay, good.
safety,
Okay.
an eye on the safety of the park. So we're hoping the parking lot will be lit and then some lighting throughout the park too.
Okay,
And restrooms?
Park restrooms are exorbitantly expensive. So we're going to continue the model that we use in most of our parks now of really clean, sturdy porta potties.
yeah.
Screening at this park, which I think will be nice. So make them look as fancy as we can, but Bathrooms and parks can run upwards to $250,000, which is wild, and they usually are not glamorous at that point.
They had these portable restrooms.
They do, like the trailer.
Like
Yeah.
Target.
Yes, that's
That's
exactly what.
Have we ever thought of that? I mean, would that be,
I think the maintenance contract that we have would probably have to be beefed up pretty exponentially just because it's more space. I think it's something we can explore, but not something we've thought of at this point.
Does have nice portable restrooms go.
yeah,
In conjunction with the park being built out in 2022 spring, would that also occur with Ironwood Drive and the medians and so forth?
Yes. So Lennar, they hit kind of a barrier of winter when their plans got approved. So they're hoping for, I think Ironwood will come in and then they'll loop up to Arbor, which is here for the model. So I believe that this will be the model building with a couple single family homes too. But yes, the median work will take place in 2022.
And then I know I've attended a few meetings about the plans and so forth and brought this up in the past too, but it's still a very big concern. I know that you've mentioned Ironwood as a collector, but obviously with the one in, one out with the school, you know, I don't know if there's anything that could be done from a control perspective with traffic flow, or if there has been a traffic study that has been done. I would love to see what that results are. As I walk my kid to school every day, my house is basically in parallel with the I in Ironwood, and with the construction traffic that's going right there right now, even cars exiting school grounds at drop off in the morning or pick up at afternoon. I can't tell you how many accidents there's almost been, and even cars flying through with people in the crosswalks and so forth with the construction trucks. So I don't know if could be a four-way stop there. Obviously not a light, but it's definitely, it's a huge safety concern because I think in this whole area it's a very dedicated school zone. So.
Noted. Ready to move
place for
on?
a traffic circle.
Yeah, roundabout.
Why didn't we think of that?
Great. Do you have something else?
Carver on the Minnesota would think that that picnic area might be a good spot for a future kiosk.
It's a good idea.
But I think this whole region is kind of isolated from,
The downtown.
be nice to kind
Yeah.
of connect them somewhat.
Right, we'll keep going for grant funding. As you probably know from driving around it all, 2021 is a banner year for permits for us. So this is, I think, through the end of November. So year to date in 2020, we're at 518. This year, we're at 841. So our inspections team is fantastic and efficient, and we appreciate them deeply. And new construction homes right now are at 177. So again, that's the end of November. I would say we probably have 12 in for review right now, so I think we'll be somewhere in the 180 range when year end hits. So 2020, we were at 166. 2021, I think we'll be in the 180 range. So a great year for permits. A couple updates on residential projects that we're working on. The Gilbert property, which is directly south of Meadows, we just reviewed the concept plan. They've come in for one round of preliminary plat. I'm anticipating 2 more before it gets to you, so we're working through a ton of details with them. They were able to hatch out a trail down to Snake Trail at this point from the development. I know that's something we talked about, so an exciting feature that I hope continues to work as we learn more about the property. The preserve is a project that we saw through preliminary plat, and then it's kind of gone dormant at this point, so it's directly west of Meridian Fields. It's the Brandel Anderson product that we saw several months ago. They're going through some permitting with the watershed district, so we talked a lot about that site, how wet it is, and they're struggling to make some of the home pads work with the elevations that they have there and the limited work they can do on the site. So I do anticipate that the project will come to fruition, but they are just working through permitting and details with the watershed district. And then third, Timber Creek. like I mentioned before, they essentially hit winter. So if they had been approved a couple months earlier, I think we would have seen the model go up at this point. I think they will hit the ground fast and furious in the spring. So I think we'll go from 0 home starts to maybe 6 or 7 right away once the streets are in. So some upcoming meetings. January, we're anticipating the CDA to join us. So as you'll recall, we've been talking quite a bit about a second Carver Crossing building. We saw a concept plan in 2019. The CDA, through funding from the county, received a substantial amount of money that they believe might make that project feasible at this point. So Allison Strike, their deputy director, will be in. We are going to go over the details of Carver Crossing, how we got there, what's been approved, what they're hoping to have there on the site, just so we can have a same comfort level with the entire group. So it's a January meeting. The preserve, again, I'm not sure when that one's going to come up, but I think it will. It will be rezoning and final plat. Gilbert property, I think that will hit maybe the March Planning Commission meeting. And then Carver Square, which is where Carver Dental, Children of Tomorrow, and the chiropractor is right now. The final building pad has been sold to a new owner. So we're working right now on a family-friendly restaurant, which I think we'll see in the next couple months. So I think we'll have a busy spring coming in, and then I think things might cool a little bit when we have another big group of building permits available for developers to kind of start chipping away at.
The Carver Crossing, that was the apartment / senior living center,
Yes.
kind of by the existing. Okay.
Yep, and I suspect that they're going to come in with the same concept, so split between the two. I think it's 103 units total.
25 were senior, I think. or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that.
I'm gonna quote you on that instead of quoting me
Okay.
for
Yeah,
saying
that
that
was
out
the
loud. But a creative project and having some shared community spaces between the two groups. So we'll get everybody caught up to speed.
Will the ownership be the same for both, or will it be different ownership? And
It's anticipated right now that the CDA will own the entire building.
the new building?
Correct. Yep,
They don't own the old building.
they do not. Ron Clark owns that building.
Ah.
So I think that those are the major updates. So I think we'll have a busy spring together, but some really exciting projects coming up.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else have any communication they want to share?
I have a question.
Sure.
So all of these new developments that we've plotted and planned, is there a map of all of them? Because I get a little confused on directions and where,
I'm with her.
what's going where.
We have like our zoning map.
Well, like, if, you know, like here's the downtown and like here's all these new things that are getting added and here's how big it's gonna be. I'm kind of a visual person.
I could probably make something that's a little cutesy.
Yeah. Do are any of our previous approved developments getting finalized? I know the one by us, the Meadows at Spring Creek, looks pretty close to full.
Yes.
And then the what's the one on Ironwood?
Hawthorne Ridge.
Hawthorne Ridge. Yeah. There it is.
Look this way, not that way.
No, sorry.
So, yes, some of them are getting very close.
Okay.
I think we're at 48 remaining building permits in everything we did in 2018. So that was Meridian Fields, Meadows at Spring Creek, Oak Tree, and Hawthorne Ridge.
Okay.
Meridian Fields is going to be the first one to drop off, I think. They only have one permit left. So
Oh,
I think
wow.
that will be the
Yeah,
first
that
one.
one's the one that's built up very fast.
Right, so I think that will go pretty fast. Hawthorne Ridge, so those are the two D.R. Horton projects. I think D.R. Horton's gonna be out of town pretty fast. So those two projects I think will close out. Meadows, you are correct. They're doing a lot of permitting right now on Mulberry, which is kind of their final swath. And then Oak Tree, they're working on phase 4. So we're hitting a point right now where Timber Creek is needed and necessary. So hopefully that plus the preserve plus the Gilbert property will make us flush with opportunity again.
In tonight's packet information mentions that United Properties in the city are working with additional tenants to join Quick Trip and additional commercial users and so forth. Be able to provide any insight or what is the thought process there?
So United Properties is leading that charge as the property owner. They give us just like tiny nuggets of information occasionally. They've mentioned the word bank a few times, so I think we can maybe see a bank on that property. This is not information they've shared with me, but that small outlot in front of the daycare, I think would be primed and ready for one of those double drive-through caribous. So I'll continue to wish that wish maybe into fruition, but They're plotting it as a really small lot, so I feel like they might have a user in mind, but I don't know who that is yet.
Anyone else? Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everybody, and
Merry Christmas.
good holiday. Enjoy the time off, vacation with the kids, grandkids, or great grandkids.
Great.
Well, I don't know. Not you, not you.
My granddaughter's 25, so that's reasonable.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, any
So,
discussion?
you don't have any?
No. No?
Oh.
All right, all in favor, adjourned?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. It's a wrap.